We can't change what's been done, but it's still our run. We are one with the world. We can make a brighter tomorrow. Together make a change. It's our life. We can't step back from what we know is right. So let's shine our light.
I am Sanjay Roy, the co-chair of the Catalyzing Change Week Programming Committee. Welcome to Catalyzing Change Week 2024. This is where we'll not just have conversations, but we'll actually see change. We'll see change makers, innovators within the social space. You'll meet government folks and funders. You'll see people who've done excellent good practice that we can learn from. And most importantly, it'll be a place to network, learn, and exchange ideas. So do dive right in to the Catalyzing Change Week 2024 and enjoy the experience. I am Sanjay Roy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everybody. We're very happy to welcome you today to this amazing session, Unlocking Social Innovation Strategies for Impact. My name is Susana Ramirez. I'm part of the Secretariat team of Catalyst 2030, and I'll be here all the time for support you all during this session. Today, we just want to quickly start by reminding you on some housekeeping rules. The first one is please remember to keep your video open if possible. This allows better interaction between the audience. Also, feel free to show your name and company in the Zoom account if you want to rename yourself, or also put it in the chat. That would be amazing. Remember to be most of the time on mute. Unless you want to do an interaction, then please raise your hand. And most importantly, enjoy the session. With this, I'll just directly hand over to our amazing facilitator, Kavina. Over to you, Kavina.
Thanks so much, Susanna. A very good day to everyone. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone who's joined us in our session today, titled Unlocking Social Innovations, Strategies for Impact. I'd like to introduce both of our speakers today. I'll start with Dr. Nadait Gabramadan, a medical doctor turned social entrepreneur and the executive director of Hagush, a New York-based social enterprise. Dr. Nadait is dedicated to making digital technology access universal through Hagush's innovative financing program. With a passion for addressing societal challenges and a commitment to collaboration, Dr. Nadait is driving positive change and empowering young people in low-income countries to access the tools they need to thrive in the digital age. Our second speaker today is Dr. Faiz Kamaluddin, a pilot and social entrepreneur. He is the co-chair for Catalyst 2030 ASEAN chapter and Malaysian chapter. He holds a PhD in social entrepreneurship and sustainability. Passionate about promoting the knowledge of science to school children across Malaysia through a social enterprise called AstroX. By the end of today's session, all participants will leave with a better understanding of what social innovation is. Participants will engage in discussions surrounding social innovations, studying a few in-depth case studies, and will design an action plan moving forward from here. Without further ado, I would like to invite our speakers to continue the session. I'd like to invite Dr. Nadait first.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and hello everyone. Before we dive in, I just want to take a minute to thank you all for joining us this lovely Monday. We are so excited that you're all here while we conduct this workshop on unlocking social innovation, obviously a very relevant subject matter for Catalyzing Change Week, which is the world's largest event led by social innovators and entrepreneurs. So welcome, welcome. So in the spirit of Catalyzing Change Week, during this workshop, we will be sharing our knowledge and creating space for exchange of ideas. So let's dive right in. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So let's begin with, next slide, please. Awesome, thank you. So unlocking social innovation begins with understanding what social innovation is. So let's start with some definitions. For those of you who operate in the space of social innovation, or those of you who have thought about social innovation at any point, you may have noticed that there are a few different definitions out there. I promise I won't go through all of them. What I will do is I will share a couple of them from the Stanford Social Innovation Review, and we can look at them closely together. The first one that I will share is from 2003, when the Stanford Social Innovation Review was launched. The first editor's note defined social innovation as the process of inventing and implementing innovative solutions to satisfy societal needs and address social problems. It is a simple definition. There is a social problem or need that gets addressed by a new solution. And the social innovation is the process of creating and implementing that solution. Then that's the first definition. And then a few years later, after that, that definition was redefined to mean a novel solution to a social problem that is more effective, more efficient, or more sustainable, or more just than existing solutions, and for which, this is also another important part, for which the value that is created accrues primarily to society as a whole rather than to private individuals. I have to say, I like this definition better, mostly because it clarifies a couple of things that I think are central to social innovation. One thing that it clarifies is this emphasis on novel solutions. Why novel solutions? Are we just saying new things for the sake of creating new things, or is there something more interesting or valuable that comes with creating new solutions? And according to that definition, to be considered innovative, a solution must be new, or it can be an old solution. It doesn't necessarily have to be a completely original solution. It can be an old solution that is applied in a new context or a new setting. More importantly is it must improve on existing solutions. Either it has to be more just or more effective or more efficient or more sustainable, or all of the above, than the existing solutions out there. So that's one thing that the definition clarifies. The second definition clarifies. The other thing that it clarifies is the sort of problems that social innovators engage with or address. Obviously, for social innovators, the problems that they are addressing are social problems, but not all social problems qualify. Only a subset of them. Ones that, when they are solved, the financial and the social values that get generated benefit primarily the society as a whole rather than private individuals. So that's the second component of it. So to summarize, the way to understand social innovation is, at the core of it, is the social problem that is getting addressed. So the societal problem that gets addressed by a new solution that is either more effective, more efficient, sustainable, or more just, or, like I said, all of the above, or some combination of these, that when that solution is used, when that problem is solved, the financial and the social values that get generated primarily benefit the whole society as a whole and not just private individuals. Next slide, please. Thank you. So now that sorry about that. now that we have the definition of social innovation out of the way, I think it's important to ask, why should we care about social innovation? Why is it important? How and like why should we care, basically? Here are a few good reasons I would like to give. One is that, just like all other innovations, it leads to societal progress, and progress is good. It is innovation. It moves society forward. The more social problems that we solve, the more prosperous that our society will become. The other reason is that social innovation builds more just societies. It is how we address complex social problems such as poverty or inequality. And the result is that we get a more just, more equitable, more inclusive world. It is a way to ensure that marginalized communities, disenfranchised people actually get to participate in society, get to participate fully in the economy. When I was talking about a minute ago about the definition of social innovation, one of the things that I highlighted was the part where when a social problem is solved and that solution results in the benefits accruing to society as a whole and not private individuals, that's an important point, because typically what we see with social problems is that the private sector is less inclined to want to solve them because there is less profit to be made in those spaces. And that leads to those problems getting neglected unless the public sector has a provision for it, or the third sector steps in. And quite often, the public sector, especially in developing countries these days, doesn't have the resources to, deal with many of these social problems. So social innovation allows for societies to meet those needs that wouldn't otherwise be met. The third reason why social innovation is a great thing is that it creates lasting social impact. And the way it does this is it addresses social problems at the root cause level. Typically, traditionally, social problems, when they're addressed, the way they have been dealt with is they get managed. The symptoms are treated, but the root cause is not really addressed. And so with social innovation, we are seeing more and more of these kinds of solutions that go to the root cause level and result in changing systems. Okay, that is the first part. Thank you so much. And the following part, I hand off to my collaborator.
Thanks, Nada, for this informative information regarding the definitions. I think it's important because people need to know the actual definition of social innovation. And basically what we're trying to say is it is basic process of inventing and implementing an innovative solution. Yeah, next slide, please. So today's workshop, we're actually trying to look if you can identify a particular social problem and needs in your area. So I'm basically logging in from Taiwan, and if you know, Taiwan is quite an advanced country. Not a lot of social problems, and considered almost similar to Singapore. And Singaporeans will probably say, "Now we don't see a big social problem." So you can actually look at yourselves and ask wherever you are located, and ask your friends, ask yourself, what is a particular social problem that is not being addressed by the government? So there is a social gap. So if I ask around, I can probably say, somebody will say that in Taiwan, there's a problem with, just for example, parking your car. So now we say, okay, what is an innovative solution to this? You can say, oh, maybe we can decide to create an app for somebody while you're trying to get parking, you can go to the hairdressers. Maybe, hairdressing or getting to the salon is important. Somebody can actually pick up your car and look for parking for you for basically half an hour. And this will actually offer sort of just say the marginalized communities or somebody who is out of job or who needs some sort of income to register. It's sort of like Airbnb or Turo in the United States, where you can get people to drive your car and then look for parking for you. And this is just an example of it. So you need to basically look at yourself, what is the problem in your area that needs to be solved? So it can be from recycling oil for cooking or anything. So you need to ask, is it being addressed by the government? And then look for a creative idea or solution of how to solve this particular problem. So let's say this problem now, I can't find parking. I can get, now I can log on to the app, I can get someone to replace it. And what the partners involved in this? So you need somebody to drive. You don't want to get somebody untrustworthy. You just drive off your car, right? So you probably need to work with the government to get legislation or regulation to do with people who are registered, who are able to drive this vehicle safely and to park it nicely for you and hand it over to you when you're done, or maybe just wait outside the block. So it is just an example of a problem or a social issue that is in this particular area. So you need to look hard into wherever your location is and ask around, what are social issues or problems that are not being addressed, and now look at the innovation that you can introduce. So this is where social innovation comes in, and look at the approaches to have partners involved. So you can have maybe a town hall, a meeting with the stakeholders and find out if it is got to do with autism community, they can help out in terms of recycling computer parts or anything. So you really have to use your brain power, think out of the box, and you feel that you're passionate about this particular issue that you want to solve. And once you invent this, or you create this, implement this social innovation, make sure that you also have in the pipeline certain impact measurement and evaluation. Is it doing well? Is it coming along nicely? So these are certain ideas that we would like to spark, or to sort of get everybody to think about the kind of social innovation that you can do within your region, for your community, or within your specialized location. So that is the key elements of social innovation. And over to you, I think, Kavina.
Thank you, Dr. Faiz. You see, based on what we have seen so far, after getting a basic introduction and understanding of what social innovation is, and understanding the key elements of social innovation, I think, from what I understand so far, it seems like the biggest threat to humankind is the mindset that someone else will do it. And I think that it's important for us to realize our responsibility as citizens of our world, to take things into our hands, realize what's happening around us, and be involved, to think of innovative solutions and be involved in bringing positive change to the world that we live in. I believe that next we will be moving on to engage in some discussions going deeper into this subject by studying a few case studies of some good practices of social innovation. And for this, I will be inviting Dr. Nadait once again to lead the case studies. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, awesome. So for this part, we will do a deep dive into a particular social innovation as a case study. We will take a look at a very famous social innovation, microfinance, which I picked for reasons that most people will likely be familiar with it, and it will be easier to follow. So for a long time, people who are considered not well-to-do did not have access to financial services because, well, in some parts of the world, that is still the case, because they did not generally because they do not have, they tend to not have a lot, and that means banks are not willing to lend to them or offer them financial services. until that is when Muhammad Yunus came into the picture and he pioneered microfinance, which is a social innovation that provides formal banking, formal financial services such as loans and savings and insurance to people who don't have a lot of, who don't own a lot of things, who are considered poor, who lack access to conventional financial services. What we will do when conducting this case study is use a simple framework of sorts based on the definition that I gave out earlier to view it through that lens, essentially. So the first thing we should start with always when thinking about a social innovation is it is very problem-centered. There is, at the heart of it is the problem, and that is the thing that you're trying to fix. And so focus on the problem and so ask questions about it. Is the problem getting addressed a social problem? Is it, and why does it exist? Why does this problem, why is it an issue? Why does it exist in the world? And that helps you understand the root causes of it. Then you look at the potential solution that is getting proposed, or the potential solution that you yourself are proposing if you're the one, if you're the social innovator that is proposing the solution. What is the solution that you're proposing? Are there other existing solutions to the problem? What are the failings of existing solutions? Because you need to understand how can you best contribute to solving this problem by understanding what is the solution landscape like. So understand existing gaps in the solution space. Is it a new solution or is it an old solution that you're applying in a new context? Is it improving or existing solutions because that it needs to do that? And if so, how is it improving existing solutions? And so we'll use this framework of looking at the problem and looking at the solution with microfinance and just and study that case basically. So we will start with the problem, like I said. So the problem, as I stated a bit earlier, was that a lot of low-income communities and individuals were getting excluded from formal access to banking, to credit, to savings, and insurance. And so that was the problem. And is this a social problem? Yes. And why is it, the next thing to ask is, why does it exist? Why was this still an issue? And why is it still an issue? And the primary reason is that banks are unwilling to lend to people with a lot of means because they tend not to have collateral. And collateral is the way banks ensure that people actually repay them whatever they, whenever they issue loans. Were there existing solutions in the time that microfinance became a thing? Yes, there were existing solutions, and these solutions came in the form of money lenders, which were people in your village that would give you loans because they know you very well. And so they've built this relationship with you. They know where to find you, more importantly. And so that was the existing solution for people not with a lot of people who had not much means. And then the next question to ask is, were there any failings in the system, in the existing solutions? And there were. With money lenders, the interest rate was outrageously high. It was 40 to 200% yearly rates. There was one study that found 78% of interest in that same study. When you think about it, actually, the interest rate, the reason why it's so high, you are inclined to think it's because there is high default rate, but actually that is not the case. The default rate for money lenders, that same study found, was 2%, which is very low. So the reason why the interest is so high, there's a very good reason. And that reason is keeping tabs of borrowers, the money lenders had to keep tabs of all the borrowers. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of energy, it was a lot of time, and that had to come from somewhere. So the result was that the interest rates were really high. And so, and in some cases, there are many things you have to account for. People can, fall ill and not pay you, or people simply decide to contrive not to have the money that they're supposed to pay you. So all of these reasons accounted for the fact that money lenders, when they lent out to people in the community, they had really high interest rates. So what is the proposed solution? The proposed solution was that Muhammad Yunus was able to lend to people not with a lot of means, just like the money lenders, but he was able to figure out a way of doing it that kept the default rates low, but also did not require exorbitant interest rates. That was the innovation. He was able to do that. And the way he did that was by essentially so for money lenders, the reason why the default rate was low because they knew the community very well, and they knew where everyone was, like what business they were doing and things like that. And this was very expensive to do, which was the reason for the interest rates being high. In Muhammad Yunus's case, the way they engineered a solution to this was essentially giving out loans in non-traditional ways, for instance, lending out in groups. And that meant that the groups that formed knew one another. So there was this social pressure to want to repay loans. So that was one of the innovations that contributed to keeping the costs relatively low. And then there were other things that they did. For instance, they required the borrowers to keep meeting every week if they didn't know one another. And this was a way of, again, leveraging the social infrastructure that existed between borrowers. And this allowed microfinance institutions to drive down the cost or the interest of lending money to about 25%. And that was the brilliant the social innovation that allowed formal institutions to lend to communities that don't have a lot of income, but still manage to have low default rates. So the next couple of questions is, was this solution new? Yes, it was new. And was it improving upon existing solutions to that problem? Definitely. It was decreasing the interest rates. It was making it possible for more people to participate in formal banking services, basically. So that is our deep dive into microfinance, and that little framework does help in looking at the many different points that were mentioned in the definition, essentially. What makes a social innovation a social innovation. Next, I think.
Yeah, thanks,
Handle,
Nadai. And I think it's a bit of introduction in case the viewers or our listeners and our audience don't know it today. Nadai is the executive director of Hagush, and what she does is she provides microfinancing in terms of computers to the folks down in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. So that's why I think this case study is very close to her heart. And I think if anybody in those regions you see there's a social problem in terms of providing computer peripherals or even computers to the folks that really need it for their studies or for their businesses, you can always replicate this model. It's not I always say it's not an exclusive club to be a social entrepreneur. You can replicate Hagush's model and support communities that are in need of these computers or peripherals. Right, Nadai?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, on to the next segment. We're talking about creating social innovation is not enough. You also must be sort of sustainable. You must have the endurance. So what are the tools and resources for social innovation? And for the audience today, you might think, of course, this is Catalyzing Change Week, and the best resource is from Catalyst 2030. So we actually have Social Innovators sort of two websites where you can get resources, where you can learn. And I post it on the link right now. And what you can do, these are the resources. You can deep dive and you look at regions that you like to look into. You can look into basically the innovation that you want to. And there are thousands and I would say hundreds of contributions from folks from Catalyst 2030. So you can sit down. If you're new to it or you're a seasoned entrepreneur, it will still be useful information. And of course, let me share the other link. It's called socialinnovators.com. This is also a collaboration between Catalyst 2030 and organization with Debbie Brock. I think she's been instrumental in promoting social innovation in terms of the academia side, where people in places of higher learning would like to find out the theory behind it, and can we change it and push it to practitioners. Okay, and I think what is best in terms of this session to move forward is to go out into breakout rooms, so that each participant, I think we have over 50 participants. We can break out rooms of 5 groups each, and you can basically discuss with yourself, and I will be in one of your rooms, and probably Nadite will be in one, and we have Susanna and also Kavina, and you can discuss what social innovation can you create through the replication of other social enterprises business models, or what problem that you see. Like I say, every region has a different problem that you want to solve. So this workshop is meant for you to think out of the box and discuss with each other for 10 minutes and find out what kind of solutions can you provide, and how can we bring social innovation forward, because it's not something complicated. And although the word sounds sort of fancy to me, social innovation, but it's something quite basic that we can discuss, we can talk about it and bring forward a solution that can help a particular community or a situation in your area. So why do we do that, Susanna? Is that all right?
Absolutely, that works
How about everyone?
perfectly.
Everyone's happy to do this? Give us a thumbs up, that reaction. If you like it, yeah. Thank you, virtual or in person, yes.
Super. I'll set the breakout
Yeah.
rooms up just to super clarify. So we want breakout rooms of 5 people, right?
5
We'll have
people
around
and 10 minutes each, and we can discuss. Introduce yourself first to each other, and then we can discuss what kind of particular problem that you have. Of course, it sounds bad when Nadite explains about social innovation is very pressing, but in Taiwan, it seems like my social problem is, but it differs from country to country, so we respect each other if we whichever situation that they're in. So all the best, and we'll see you after 10 minutes.
perfect. I'll create the breakout rooms now and we'll see you here in a moment. If you have any technical issues, let me know. I'll be here to
Call
support.
Susanna.
I'll be here.
Always too short.
Over to you, Faiz.
No, I think Kavina, maybe you like to mention some words.
Actually, I was actually I do agree that we didn't have enough time because I was rushing it towards the end. We couldn't wrap it up well. I wasn't very satisfied with that, but we did have a quite fruitful discussion. In my breakout room, I was joined by Mr. Jacob Dietz, and he brought up a really a problem that he's facing around where he lives in the US, but I think it's also something universal that happens in most countries. If Mr.
You
Dietz would
can
like
share,
to,
please.
yeah, because I
Just
don't know if you
Yeah.
might also like to, yeah.
So it was sort of going on top of the discussion. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you. Just talking about
Hi.
how, a lot of microfinance initiatives and specifically like informal savings groups, it's not traditional here to the United States, and a lot of people throughout the country, in marginalized communities fall prey to predatory lenders. And so finding more traditional ways that other people use to save money that don't have access to formal banking institutions, as sort of a bridge to build. And it's also it's autonomous and grassroots. And so finding I love just finding traditional methods and innovating and tailoring them to the values of different areas. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think most of the sessions, yeah, we ran out of time, but I wanted to emphasize that if you're not a member of Catalyst 2030, please join us, become a member, and you can have access to resources. Even if you are not a member, you can still have access to hundreds of files and videos. And just looking at social innovation, it has to be something that can generate revenue. In our discussion group, it is, we can get accolades and we can get awards for doing good, but are we being sustainable? Are we getting revenues? Are we changing our business model where it can create money for us to be sustainable? So that is important. I think we need to think, if you are going to create a social innovation, or you are in a particular organization or enterprise that is doing good now, are you able to be sustainable, or most importantly, profitable, so that you can basically be sustainable? So I think that's important in our discussion. And if you are not, you need to change your business model to one that creates revenue. Okay, and maybe over to you, Nada. You can share some of your discussions that you had.
Yes, absolutely. So for our discussion, we were all from the Global South. So we basically concluded there are so many social problems that we have identified. And it was really quite funny, because we ended up not discussing one thing, but just generally, talking about how there are so many issues and the best way to address them. And so the consensus seems to be that focusing on enabling entrepreneurs, that seems to be, that was sort of a theme. And this is, I have to say, something that I do come across a lot in my interactions with my community of people from the Global South, whether it's tech entrepreneurs operating in Africa, or it's other, thinkers or doers doing many different things. I think the conclusion a lot of people reach is that governments are not doing a good job. And so we should really invest on the entrepreneurs who are solving problems. In general, I tend to have and we did conclude collaboration. In the end, we said collaboration is key. And so I am a huge fan of collaboration as well. And so with, the private, public, third sector, we have to find ways of addressing these huge challenges that we have developed, especially problems of economic development are not going to be solved with just entrepreneurs. That's for sure, just because, history, we have a lot of data on what has happened in other countries over the years and what they've done to climb the development ladder. And time and again, we do see that it takes, strong states that are able to support entrepreneurs to, drive the changes that need to take place. So yeah, collaboration is excellent. The word.
Thank you. And then I'd like to hear maybe a particular group to share some of your social issue or gap that you like to address in, because we have like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Am I right, Susanna? Maybe one group to share. Yeah, please. Colin, right? Please share what the social problem that you want to fix and how we can.
Yeah, thanks. I think this is a social problem, but it's a social opportunity. And I think, I think what Nadeed just said, exactly right. Sometimes, so we're around, by the way, I've been here since the origins of Catalyst 2030, and I've seen this evolve. And I love the fact that we don't all have a common definition of social innovation. We're actually in quite different places, but that's good, right? Because it's very green and it's evolving. And one thing is that we realized at Catalyst early on is that whilst we get the medals and the recognition as social entrepreneurs, whether we're sustainable or not, the big levers in society, i.e. government, whether it's local, regional or national or multinational or whatever, or corporate, don't get those medals. And I think from an innovative point of view, if we can discover as a movement how to bring those massive levers of society in, then we're going to start making meaningful change. I mean, I have an NGO that's in 60 countries, but we're still a drop in the ocean, and we realize that. So it's about getting to many more people. And just to finish, sorry, Faiz, you said about the bar of sustainability. I totally get you, but there is a thing called market failure, and governments can step into that, create the markets for others to step into. And I think there's a lot of social innovation, positive value that can be generated there. I'll shut up now.
Thank you very much, Colin. And maybe another group that I'd like to share. I would just like to say that, it is important, maybe once your NGO has progressed and been sustainable for a few years, it's important to start measuring your impact now. And probably, sometimes narratives can say that you can sing a good song, I've done this, la la la, yada da. But if you have that social impact report, and that's, of course, we didn't get to it. There's many ways to measure social impact. Once you get this impact out, you can probably get further support from the government or from your stakeholders and all that to basically fund you more, or like I say, change your business model where you can be sustainable and profitable without governmental support. So any other group that one more we can take? Anybody hands up, please? Okay, please, Lebza.
Good day. So I am from Lebu M Jewelry. I'm from South Africa. My social innovation, or the social problem that we are currently facing, is unemployment of qualified persons. So in South Africa, we have pre-education system and skills development system by the government. So I am a goldsmith and rough diamond evaluator by profession. So I did a study, I researched that, so the government has been, since 1994, they've been giving out bursaries and learnerships for all persons, including persons with disabilities, for jewelry manufacturing. But then, since then, up to 2023, the absorption rate is not even 5% of all those qualified persons. And then I also realized that Africa does not participate that well on the global jewelry market. So I then thought that I then developed a jewelry manufacturing technique as a USP that all the jewelers can use so that we can manufacture abstract art jewelry. We use recycled precious minerals from Africa, because Africa is worthy of precious minerals. So it's like 60% platinum and 40% gold. And then we sell these abstract art jewelry pieces on a global scale, mostly on regional countries that hold the largest share, like your China and the UAE. So now we are currently dealing with the legalities of the patenting, because we need to patent on a global scale. So that is where we are right now. We are partnering with both the government and private sector, because this is the form of a return of investment for the government on the skills development. So we are working on that currently.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I can understand where you are in your progress for social innovation, and respect that. And I hope we can share these stories. In fact, you can go on the SCI website, put up the link, and you can share these resources, and every other social entrepreneurs, also Catalyst 2030 members, can learn from your experience. That'd be fantastic. And I think we're wrapping up session. So over to you, Kavina. We have like 2-3 minutes, and Susanna's on my.
One last thing I want to say, can you, Lebza, can you find me on LinkedIn, because you can see my name, the whole thing. That would be amazing. And you're doing amazing things. And I am excited that someone in some, is addressing the whole unemployment issue in Africa. So kudos.
Okay,
I
take it
will.
away, Kapina.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think today's session has been really, really inspiring. And I'd just like to wrap up and say that I think social innovation really makes us address the root cause of all the social problems. And I love that we're all, in conversation, trying to bring meaningful change to our community and the world we live in. I'd like to give a special thanks to Catalyst 2030 for bringing like minds together for us to find proactive solutions and just make the world a better place. And one thing I can say for sure is that everyone in this meeting right now, they're not waiting for someone else to bring change. I'd like to thank everyone for joining our session today, and I hope that we would continue, thinking and innovating. Thank you all so much. I'd like to hand it over back to Susanna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for being here today with us. We have our inaugural session in a couple of minutes. So we just posted the information in the chat for Catalyzing Change Week. We hope you keep enjoying with us this amazing week full of sessions, action-oriented. And just a couple of quick information that could be interesting for you as well. We have one of the biggest campaigns that we do in Catalyst 2030, that is the Catalyst 2030 Awards, coming up in a couple of months, and we have nominations open. So if you know a corporate, someone from the government, someone from the financial sector that is already doing great things around social innovation, please go to our website and nominate. We also have an incredible initiative that is a collaboration from our members, that is Catalyst Market. Please explore it and maybe do your shopping here. There's incredible social entrepreneurs selling impressive articles here. So also invitation for you to explore. And for the ones that are still not in our community of Catalyst 2030, join us and learn a little bit more about us. We'll be very happy to see you in one of these Catalyst spaces in the future. Thank you again. Thank you to our amazing moderator and our great speakers and great members of Catalyst 2030. We'll see you around and have a lovely day.